Joseph Shilalo on the foundations of theology of culture, covering on the cultural artifact, paper 2, covering on tractor as an artifact. And by definition, a tractor is a farm vehicle that is used to pull or push farm machinery. I find myself wondering just how it all began, how this piece of artifact has affected our way of life. And I imagine to many just how the tractor and farm has brought a lot of changes and life-changing situations because of the availability of a tractor. And so our world is never the same again because of tractor use. In a very simple way, following the definition of an artifact, I will echo the class meaning of an artifact. By definition, a cultural artifact is an object or things or reality that is part of our culture, that shapes culture, or that is shaped by culture. So what does tractor assume about the world? That there is available agricultural machinery that need to be pushed or pulled, and other essential components like disc for plowing, tilling, disking, harrowing, planting, and similar tasks. What do tractors assume the way the world should be? It makes it clear that we ought to be eating healthy foods right from our farmland. Tractor use can become part of our everyday life, and it has become part of our everyday life and everyday lifestyle, and can offer practical alternative to human labor force for food production, or even horse and cart pulling or pushing. So it assumes that we create a better environment for tractor use and space for agricultural activities. Tractor use for general food production. Modern tractors use range from plowing, tilling, planting fields, in addition to routine lawn care, landscape maintenance, moving or spreading fertilizer, and clearing bushes on the farm. Tractor assume this is the way our world ought to be. What does tractor make possible? In my world thinking, if I have only one vehicle to choose in the entire world, I will choose a tractor, armed with powerful diesel engine and chunky tires. I know many of us will go for sports car or other luxury vehicles, but for me, a tractor will just do fine. Tractor and tractors were originally designed to replace working animals, such as horses, oxen, which people have been using to pull carts and plows since ancient time. This was a sheer determination to come up with something better than the human laboring to plant, to tilt, or even harvest, or even superior than a horse or oxen for heavy farm work. In the efforts to reduce human labor on farm and serious injuries due to long hours of heavy labor work, tractor use makes it possible to do enormous work that will take human labor many months, if not years, and make it possible. An industry that produces billions of all kinds of food to feed the nations. And by foods, I mean corn, beans, fruits, and all that healthy food and heavy, good lifestyle. Creating an enterprise worth billions of dollars in tractor industry and equipment and parts. It is hard to find any other area where the benefits are significant as the benefits to farm produce in our high populations and the populations of the world to be fed. What does it make impossible? Because of what a tractor does. An essentially machine designed to pull things along, majority of time slowly and very slowly but sure. I know I have run into some slow traffic on Route 23, and yes, it could be an accident on the road or a horse pulling a buggy, or even a better instance, a tractor. Speed is not its thing. So it makes it impossible for the tractor to run like the rest of the vehicles, or smaller vehicles, or even larger vehicles, because it is pulling and pushing. Or the design is for pushing and pulling heavy material. Yes, that is what a tractor does best. Therefore, though I have been stuck behind in line because of a slow-moving traffic, though some may have considered it as a tractor nuisance, that is not the case. But for me, it only reminds me of traction. Heavy material being hauled or is going to be hauled. The next time you are stuck behind a grumbling tractor inching down the back roads or even main roads, you will know that the engine is probably working just as hard as it can, pulling a load. My point is, tractor makes speed impossible. What new culture is created in response to tractors? There is a general understanding that though tractors could never be considered luxurious vehicles, and even though most tractors now have heated cabs, some even with air conditioning, and better, even some now come with GPS satellite navigation to ease and help farmers plan how they work their fields with precision. Horses and carts in the fields for plowing and moving heavy materials is a culture that is soon to be found only in history books, if that has not yet already happened. Let alone human labor on the fields with the axe to cut down small trees in preparation for plowing. So our different way of life, our culture, where now we totally use tractors for the huge land and space to be plowed, or farm seeds to be planted. There is a different culture. Tractor has shaped our culture in a very significant way. Looking at the Christian influence in our culture, we read in 1 Corinthians 1:18, "For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but to us who are saved, it is the power of God. It is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent." In simple terms, we have the preaching of the gospel, sometimes to many, just like the introduction of the tractor, are skeptical and slow to accept. But look at how far we have come, how far we are able to do and produce in terms of farm foods and cereals and things like that. As the Christians had it, and in Corinth especially, 1 Corinthians 1:18, this is a revolutionary message, a counterculture message, and probably the Corinthians were not ready to hear this at the time. Underlined word is foolishness. In proper translation would mean madness or insanity. The word of the cross, the very substance of the Christian gospel, is absolute madness to those who are perishing. It is irrational. It is insanity. It makes no sense. It is sheer madness to the perishing. But to the saved, it is the very essence of our identity. It is the power of the Almighty God. What a way to accept and move on with the gospel. Thank you.